did Argentina lose, bro? How did Argentina lose? If you brought Argentina, put a 1 in the chat, because I'm going to shame you. But before I can do that, I would like to welcome you back to Sin City Crypto Live. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts today. And today, like every day, we're coming at you live from our studio here in Las Vegas, Nevada with our daily live show. Today, we're talking about Bitcoin mining. Some troubling numbers are coming in. Core Scientific possibly running out of money by the end of the year. One specific mining company is unplugging their miners to pay back a loan they cannot pay back. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the senators here in the U.S. urging Fidelity to stop putting Bitcoin as an option for 401ks. We got so much to talk about. Also, we're going to be joined by Magic Internet Money here in about 50 minutes to go over some charts in TA. But before we get into content, I have to introduce you to your other co-host, Big Rob. What's up?
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take the old, the boring, the stale information and package it up in a fun and sexy way. How excited are you right now that Bitcoin's over 16,000?
Not very excited.
Not excited?
You know,
yeah.
You know what I am excited about?
What?
I don't know if I'm excited about this or I'm upset about this, but we found Sam Bankman-Fried. We found him, and he's out for a jog. Wait till you get a load. Rocco, let's go ahead and show the people here. Let's go ahead and show them. So this is posted by Altcoin Daily. This is Sam Bankman-Fried, and I want you to pay attention to this man's form.
Is that actually him?
That's him. Yeah. And I tweeted, I said, horrible form. If only he spent time working on his running instead of playing blackjack with our money, things would be in a better position.
Yeah, with all the money he has, I don't think he has to run that way. He can run many other way.
I figured he'd have one of those, like, what's those little scooter-looking things that has the wheels, you know? You know, the one where you balance on it and you just, like, lean forward and you drive?
Oh, Segway.
No, not the Segway, but the one you get. They're the one that all kids get for Christmas, you know?
My kids have these. Hoverboard.
Yeah.
They should use a quad.
Yeah. You know, he kind of reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite. A little bit, right? The fro, except a little chunkier.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like he's had one too many Hot Pockets.
Come on, Pedro. Anyways, so, Robin.
Hold on. Did you guys notice what's on the desk here? Hey, that's a 5,000K sub basketball, huh?
5,000K, huh?
Yeah. So to celebrate us getting to 5K, we have this basketball on our website. So guys, go check it out. We did give one away to somebody that had a little treasure hunt on one of our street interviews. He never replied to us. I think it was a crypto father or crypto dad.
Father of crypto.
Anyways, if you are the winner of that, if your name is Crypto Father or whatever it was, message us. Thank you. And then we want to mail this out to you. If not, if you don't claim it,
we're going to have to rehypothecate.
Give it to somebody else. That's right. No, you got a few days to message us. So, anyways, yeah, if you guys haven't checked out our merch store, we got basketballs. We have a ugly sweater, Christmas ugly sweater up there now as well. So we're excited about that. And then, yeah. What else you got, David?
Nothing. So we're I'm trying to find his name on the video, but I'll do it later.
And we'll show you that ugly sweater here in a little bit. It's a
that's right.
It's a good one. There they go. Do you get all into Christmas? Do you like decorate the house?
Do I decorate? No, my wife does.
Okay. So hold on, you have your wife putting up Christmas lights?
The lights are up. The house came with already built-in lights. So
your house came with Christmas lights?
Well, you know, there's ones you can put them in there and just leave them on there. They came with them, so yeah.
Your house came with Christmas lights.
I never heard of such a thing before.
They have ones where you just put them on there.
They're incorporated. You can switch if you want to have a.
Listen, that was the deal.
They're like, look here. All right, you can either go with the marble countertops or Christmas lights on the outside of the house. Which one are you going with? He's like, Christmas.
Never heard of such a thing. But anyway,
hit the like button, man. I'd like to get us up to 500 viewers. Is it possible to get 500 viewers? Is it even possible? What are we going to open the club? We need, let's 300?
300
people. We get to 300 people today. We're going to open up the club. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. All right. Go ahead, David.
All right. So I want to share something, and I want your take on this, right? So I look at this all the time, Bitcoin balance on exchanges, okay? And if you take a look, money's starting to flow back into exchanges, right? But look at this anomaly here, right? Gemini, over the last one day, has seen over 16,000 Bitcoin, not dollars, Bitcoin leave their exchange. And if you take a look, that is 16 times higher than the next highest, which of course is an anomaly. Over the last 7 days, we've seen 50,500 leave the exchange, which is about 5 times more than the next highest. So my question to you is this, are you taking the side of this is extremely concerning and you're worried? Or are you taking the side of, man, they've gone through this much withdrawal pressure and they're still operating as usual? Outside of their earn program, obviously. What side are you taking?
Here's the thing: if they're just custodying people's Bitcoin that they buy and they're not doing anything with it and they're not touching it, and what they have on the order books is what they have in house, then there should be no problem. As we mentioned with Kraken, the CEO was on podcast. He was just kind of discussing the liabilities of custodying crypto. And so for an exchange, a lot of people think, hey, how much money can we make off of keeping crypto? That's if you're doing something with it. But if you're not doing anything with customer funds, it's a liability. So think about it. If you're an exchange and somebody's parking 10 Bitcoin and you're doing nothing with it, you have to provide the security and the infrastructure to make sure it doesn't become compromised. And so why would you want people to keep crypto on your exchange if it costs money, and also it is a risk for theft
and
fraud.
You're not using that money to make more money.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
which is what the banks do.
If you're doing what you say you do, Gemini says, hey, we keep it 1 for 1. We're not doing anything with it. If that's the case, then they should be happy that the Bitcoin's coming off. Because, hey, I mean, one thing is that I guess you could say, hey, users are leaving the platform and maybe transaction volume is down because people are closing their accounts and not coming back. So, take that with a grain of salt. People taking their crypto off of an exchange might not be the best for business, but when it comes to your business model, if it doesn't incorporate the custodying, if it doesn't incorporate rehypothecating users' funds, which it shouldn't, then it shouldn't be that big of a setback. I mean, now think about it. If you have millions of users keeping crypto on your exchange, they're more likely to, when they want to buy and sell, to just use the exchange their crypto's parked on. So if you're completely removed from exchange and you want to go sell, you might be like, let me just load it up on Coinbase, or let me just send it to Binance. So, that could be an issue. But, I think right now the exchanges really are just trying to save image and, keep everybody reassured that nothing fishy is going on. So.
An interesting question. So we've had a few meetings with some exchanges that kind of want to partner with us, and of course we do our due diligence and we ask questions. And so the one question I'm starting to ask is, hey, how are you guys? First asking about earn. How are you guys making money to earn? Are you rehypothecating? They say no. And so my next question is, well, how do you benefit from having people lock up their money in your earn program if you're not rehypothecating that money to make the rewards? And a lot of them, and I'm not going to give names, a lot of them don't have an answer to that question. And so I think if we continue to ask these type of questions and put these exchanges and these companies, not on blast, but kind of put them on notice, like, hey, we understand how typically exchanges make money. We understand how this thing works, and we want transparent answers. And speaking of transparency, CoinMarketCap, which by the way is owned by Binance, just rolled out a new feature on their website, where it tells you if you click on the exchanges tab, and Rob, as I'm talking about this, if you want to pull this up, as you click on the exchanges tab, it tells you which ones have their proof of reserve listed and have been audited. But again, the thing with proof of reserves, we don't need to just see, oh, their assets are more than their liabilities. No, we want to see what kind of assets. Are they liquid? Are they not liquid? We want to see liabilities. Who do they owe money to? What do they have staked? What do they have available right away? So that's the thing. Don't just blindly say, oh, they did proof of reserves, they're fine. No, you got to dig deeper.
It's funny. Everything you mentioned that you want is what is in a SCC compliant publicly traded company. Right? Mm-hmm. Your balance sheet, your profit, your loss, your debts, who you owe money to, like your roadmap, and an audited third party that comes in and verifies that the numbers are correct. So on one end, you don't.
Let me ask you a question, Robin. If exchanges start doing this, right? If they do what they would have already had to do under SCC regulation, is that a net positive for us not being regulated by the SCC, or is that a net negative? Can you make the argument that, hey, we're already doing this, we don't need to come in and register with the SCC?
The problem is that if I ran an exchange, is that, hey, there's fear that your tokens listed on your platform are deemed securities by the SEC. And so I would imagine in the SEC's eyes, if you're going to be a publicly traded company, compliant, 100% working tandem with SEC, as Gary Gensler says all the time, come down, get registered, work with us. Like, I think that they would probably only want you to sell Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And so I think it kind of goes against the business model. I'm just saying that everything that you mentioned that you want with transparency and accountability for when it comes to what you're doing with funds, who you owe money to, a lot of that, what you said, is what's already in place with publicly traded companies or when you go public. And maybe that's a route that the centralized exchanges will go in the future. Because here's the thing. Don't get it mistaken. What happened with FTX will happen again if the rules don't change, because somebody will come in and be like, nobody's checking our books here. We can make a lot of extra money if we do this, and nobody will know unless everybody exits the exchange at one time. And so, I don't know. It's something needs to change. Now, whether it happens internally with the exchanges all getting aboard with a third-party audit, having, proof of reserves, expanding on that idea so that it incorporates debt and leverage. And then, that would be nice. I mean, we have that all the time. You have different companies that you have different sectors, like say the Food and Drug Administration. They have their own inside kind of third-party like stamps and certifications that aren't run by the government, but it's something that we see day to day. And so maybe that's something. If not, the government's going to do it themselves, man. I'm telling you.
And we do have, now I was talking about this earlier, but we do have some senators have come out and spoken. Apparently, Gary Gensler is on the chopping block. There was a news article that we don't have it pulled up, but
Gary Gensler is on the chat.
He is in the chat. Gary, just retire, bro, or else they're going to fire you. Apparently, he's catching heat from both Republicans and Democrats and Wall Street. Wall Street executives have been calling into the politicians saying, what the hell is going on? Apparently, Gensler wants to change not just stuff in crypto, but stuff in Wall Street too. And so is this guy trying to be a martyr? Who knows? But guys, Sin City Crypto, ugly hoodie. Ugly Christmas sweater, only $55. Are we making any money on this?
Not really.
No. Because usually these things are over $100. But this thing's pretty cool, man. So huge shout out to Rocco. If you guys didn't know, he's the one who
click on the back of it.
Yeah. He's the one who designs all this stuff, guys. This is dope, man. I'm buying one. I am buying one. This is pretty dope.
That's cool.
This is cool. So if you're a whale member, you get 10% off for life as long as you are a whale member. So go ahead. If you want to order one, use your 10% off discount.
Speaking of the community, we do got a couple new people in here today. Not a lot. We only got 70 people in the chat. What's going on?
It's going to fill up, baby.
Where's everybody at?
We're going to fill up. Let's go.
We got Cameron Mitchell. Okay. Thank you. Bye. And we got Robert San. Hola. Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
All right, Rob, let's dig into some crypto, buddy. Let's take a look at what the markets are doing. Again, we are going to be joined by Magic Internet Money in about 40 minutes. He will do our TA for us today. Excited about his TA. I've been watching some of his videos lately, so really, really good stuff.
Okay, cool. So yeah, as we mentioned when we came in, we got Bitcoin coming in at $16,132. And just to see how we got here, and it's been, I think, over a week now. We've been under the 17K mark. So we did see a substantial dip. We did hit 2-year low. So yesterday we got to 15.6 here, which we have not been down in this range since 2020. So,
Rob, we talked about this, off air, but I want to have this conversation, and I don't want it to be too dragged out. But my theory was, with everything we know about Sam Bankman-Fried, Alameda, no liquidations, just absolutely front running everything, shorting everything to the ground, ruining projects. And this was a weird bull market, right? We only 3.5x from our last all-time high, which, if you follow history, that is way below par. And so my thing was, I literally think if SBF was not in the picture or they weren't doing what they were doing, we'd be over 120, 150K in the last bull run.
No.
You don't think so?
I think that the markets are going to get there regardless. If you've ever seen the Final Destination movie where, like, if you're set to die, it's coming. If you dodge death today via this manner, you're going to die tomorrow a different way or the next week. And so the market was oversold when the Terra Luna collapse happened. And so if that didn't happen,
which was caused by FTX,
yeah, and
that's what I'm saying. You're making my point.
No, but what I'm saying is that if FTX didn't cause that crash, then there would have been more money in the Terra Luna system. There would have been the spring would have got pulled back even further, and then when it did crash, it wouldn't have taken this. Take a look at this 1 year chart. It wouldn't have went from here and taken
a year
to happen. It would have been at 80,000, and then we would have got down to 20,000 in a shorter time period. And so,
what would you rather have? Would you rather slow death?
I don't like to. Honestly, I'm not trying to like dodge the question. I like to think in the moment and in the future. I don't really care about what ifs and what would have happened. I mean, you can do the same thing with sports and be like, well, if they would have made that field goal in week 3, and then they would have had one, like, what happened. You know what? That happened. And I'm always in the camp that if something is due to come down, if it wasn't this event, it was something else. And if FTX didn't crash, you know what? We'd probably be at 22,000, and then something else would have happened. Maybe Genesis would have went under because FTX didn't pay their bills, or maybe another platform would have went under that got saved because the limelight went to FTX. I don't know, or maybe there would have been some congressional issue that popped up. But the thing is like when these prices and these movements happen, yes, they might be influenced and pushed immediately by one event, but in the same regard, if you're in the middle of a bull market and you have a major negative event, what happens? It goes down for a week or 2 weeks, and then you're right back to the races. You're right back to making money. And the same thing happens on the way down. Like whether or not, you're on the way down, you're going to a certain price range, you're going to 12,000 or you're going to 13,000. And it just depends on how fast you get there and when the news breaks and where it comes from. Because it's like having the premise, well, if FTX never existed, we would have just had a bull run forever.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, but you can apply that. If nothing ever bad happens, then there's no reason to have a pullback. But the thing is negative things are always going to collapse the market, always. And if the market is due for correction, when the event happens, whatever it is, it's going to pull it back. It's like okay, let's say for example, you're in debt $100,000 and you only make $60,000 a year. You can sit here and say, oh, well, I went broke and I lost everything because my car broke down. Okay, sure, that was the one event that broke the back. But if it wasn't your car this week, it would have been the water heater the next month.
Bro, they've been behind every single major incident. That's what I'm saying, dude.
And if it wasn't them, it would have been somebody else. That's what I'm saying is the market, the retail left the market. So the amount of money and the interest in Bitcoin was there during the bull run, and it got up to the price it was. And it would have pulled back regardless because retail left. Retail lost interest. So the money left. And let's be real with you. Nobody's using crypto in globally as far as the masses, institutions.
Excuse me? I just bought a hot dog with Bitcoin.
You did not buy a hot dog.
I know, I'm just kidding.
And so, you know what? Like the technology is getting built. The technology is amazing. It's going to replace things. But realistically, at this moment right now, the infrastructure is not being utilized by all the individuals around the world and companies. There are a handful of players that are dabbling in crypto. There are a handful of retail and just people like me and you that will participate in some kind of purchase or DeFi product. But realistically, when you zoom out and you look at the World Financial Center, where is money moving? How is it transacting? Crypto is such a minute part of it. To think that it's going to supplant that right now is foolish. So if retail investors left, there's not much holding it up, and all it takes is one event to drop it. And so back to my insight, if you owe $100,000 and you are living paycheck to paycheck, it just takes one event. And if you want to blame your car, your ex-wife, or your job, your boss, or whatever it is for you losing everything, that's not the catalyst that made you get to where you were. It's just the next step in the direction you were going.
You know, before I ask this question, I want to give a shout out to TC. Tom Crown's in the chat. Guys, if you're not following Tom Crown, his TA is top notch. Go follow him. We're still trying to iron out a time for him to come on our show. So I know he's super busy.
Tom, send me a text, bro.
Tom,
send me a text.
Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You in, bro? Let me know right now. We'll book you right now, bro. Right now. Let's go.
Yeah, send me a text and we'll send you a link. We'll bring you in here. If you want to come, unless you don't like that Sin City Crypto. If you like Sin City Crypto, though, put that thumbs up, though. Let's go.
If you want Tom Crown to join Sin City Crypto for a show, put a 1 in the chat.
There you go.
Put a 1 in chat. All right. Let's talk about the theme of today's show, which is Bitcoin mining. We've talked about this since Bitcoin dropped under 25K to when it dropped under 20K. And now we're seeing everything play out. And so, you know, here we go. Bitcoin mining giant Core Scientific ended October with only $32 million in cash. $32 million in cash, guys. That is it. That is it. And just under $1 million in Bitcoin. And so the headline, the first part, and Rob, he's pulling up the Core Scientific stock chart here.
Yeah, take a look at this.
Yeah, let's swap over to that real quick and
so,
take a look.
I have a bunch of this stock. So just, if you saw the thumbnail today, we're kind of discussing some volatility in the mining market, especially with publicly traded companies. And we're in an interesting situation where the hash rate was at an all-time high like 2 weeks ago. I haven't checked where it is today. But
I have the hash rate.
It couldn't mining difficulty couldn't have just fell off a cliff. So there was some numbers floating around that $12,000 is the profit, the break-even level when it comes to Bitcoin and mining, and that is with. Keep in mind that is with state-of-the-art mining ASICs. And so if you're sitting on some older units, a lot of those are working and not in profit because they're not as efficient. The hash rate isn't as high, and they still have a huge energy draw, and price of energy is up as well. So Core Scientific, you can see here
go to the 3 month.
The 3 month?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's So it was at 250 and currently at 15 cents.
Oh my God.
So,
hold on, go up, scroll up. Over the last 3 months, down 93%.
Jeez, 93%. Core Scientific is the
guys
number one miner when it comes to hash rate. Nobody has more hash rate. Year to date, they got as high as $11. And if you were to look, that is 98.6% down. This is not an anomaly. This is what all of the this is what all the miners are looking
What's
like.
this one?
Now you have here Marathon on the 3-month. It is at $6, was as high as 14, and year to date they were over $30. So not quite as big a hit, but remember, Core Scientific did say they're going to default on their loans, or they said they weren't making any more payments. And so there is rumors of bankruptcy for them. Also, we have Riot as well. Riot. This white is bright, bro. So taking a look at the 3-month, and then Gil says, "Oh, what's up? Hola, hola." So, he had to text me. Type in the chat, Gil. Stop playing around.
Freaking Gil.
So we got so they were at $7 3 months ago. Then taking a look at the year to date, over $22. So everybody's getting hammered right now. One that we're going to talk about here in a little bit is Iris Energy. This is Canadian based, right? Well, U.S. stock exchange company, but most of their ASICs are out of Canada. So
we do have news about them too.
Yeah, so they went from $5, they're down to $1.50.
This thing's gonna keep going
and
down.
then 15 down to $1.52, and that is 90% down year to date. So kind of shaky grounds when it comes to the mining, man. At least the valuation of the companies, and the one thing is that, let's say, for example, you have a retail business. You have a lot of overhead, and no matter what, you can't get out of the lease. You got to pay for the inventory. You got to keep the lights on. You got to pay the staff. One benefit of mining is that after you set up the mining operations, it's generally a low overhead for operations. So after energy and the building, most of these places buy out the building instead of leasing. There's only usually a lot of these big warehouses. They have like 3 to 5 people that run it. So there's not a lot of staff, and then you just have a couple of technicians just fixing units when they're down. So
guys,
so basically not a ton of overhead. You're not running. Even though they're big, they're publicly traded.
Well, the overhead is bigger because prices are up, right? Energy prices are up.
Yeah, profit and loss. I'm just saying that the amount of capital, the amount of capital needed to sustain the business, if you're not acquiring new units, is pretty low. And yeah.
So let's get back to Core Scientific. So this article goes on to say, the company first warned of bankruptcy risk about a month ago, sending its shares plummeting about 80%. The miner had 1,050 Bitcoin and 29.5 million in cash at the end of September, and now they currently have only 62 Bitcoin. So we're seeing massive amounts of sell pressure on the price of Bitcoin from the miners. So if you're wondering why we can't go up, is because the miners are selling. And Robin mentioned Iris. So here's Iris. They're slashing their mining capacity due to a requested loan. Iris Energy, which is an Australian crypto mining company, like Robin mentioned, their main operation sites are in Canada, running on renewable energy exclusively, has recently ceased mining in 2 subsidiaries. These subsidiaries are operating as SPVs and used Bitmain mining rigs financed by close to $108 million loan from NYDIG. Unfortunately, the crypto winter has shattered the faith many investors had in crypto, leading to a demand for immediate repayment of the loan due to a combination of adverse market conditions, an increase in mining difficulty, as well as the price of electricity and the value of Bitcoin dropping itself. The miners in question saw a far smaller return on investment than previously expected. I guess the good news is the collateral, they're not going to go under because the debt will be cleared by simply just turning the rigs over to NYDIG. So you have, and I believe it was close to 3 exahashes. You have 3 exahashes leaving the Bitcoin network. And here's another one. Here's another article. Bitcoin miners are selling at the fastest rate in 7 years. 7 years. On November 21st, Caprioli, fund founder Charles Edwards. No, I like Capriati's. the Capistrami's bomb. Capriol founder Charles Edwards observed that Bitcoin miners were selling aggressively. According to the chart, the sell-off has increased by 400% so far just this month. It also is the most aggressive selling in almost 7 years. This is a quote. If price doesn't go up soon, we are going to see a lot of Bitcoin miners out of business. And they talk about the triple whammy. Hash rates being near all-time highs, making it harder to mine the next block. Mining difficulty is also peaking, making it harder to compete for the next block. Energy prices, and of course, the price of Bitcoin. I'm going to stop there before I show some metrics on chain. How concerned are you, Robin? You think there's plenty of people that are willing to jump right in, take over the hash rate, the mining facilities that are kind of left behind?
The Bitcoin network will be fine. That's for one. I mean, the hash rate was at all-time high last month. And so, if you look where we were prior to 2020 to where we are now, it is so much more secure as far as the network and hash rate and difficulty and the amount of money it would take to attack the network or compromise the network. So we're in a better spot now than we were in 2019 by leaps and bounds. So if we pull back in the hash rate or the difficulty by even say 30-40%, we would still be in a better position than we were in the past. And I think everyone agrees in 2019 the Bitcoin network was pretty secure, right?
Yeah.
So if it's more secure than it was then crypto will be fine. Now, what won't be fine is some of these big companies that over leverage themselves. And so you had a perfect storm in the same way that you referenced. You had the trifecta here of
you can argue there's a quadfecta. Throw in it's getting more expensive to finance new equipment.
Yeah. And so what's the fivefecta? What's that called?
The fivefecta. The quinfecta.
You also have interest rates. You have the interest rates rising. So
that's part of making it more expensive to borrow.
So what I'm saying is that your loans that you leveraged, some of these loans might cost you more to pay back. I don't know the details of it, but if it's something like structured in the same way of a credit card loan, perhaps these interest rates are adjustable, and maybe you have to pay back more. That's all just kind of like a thought I had. So I don't know if there's any merit to it, but
which is part of the reason why, and this is kind of off topic a little bit, part of the reason why the Fed cannot just keep raising interest rates because it makes servicing debt more expensive for the country. And so literally they can't do it. But
I mean, even if you wanted to get a new loan, then for sure the interest rates are going to be substantially higher than they were in 2021. So a couple of things on the on this whole issue is, are the miners selling? The answer is yes.
Hell yeah. The answer is hell yes.
And you're going to see, and that's why I think we're due for a longer bear market or deeper bear market, because the retail, I think a lot of people that are passionate about crypto are taking advantage of these low prices, but the amount of Bitcoin that is coming out, that is hitting the books from the miners is, I think, greater than the retail right now. And so for that reason, I think you're gonna have more pressure on the supply and less, and because there's just so much fear in the crypto space right now, I think that there's just gonna be a pause on people just FOMOing into crypto right now. And so people that are DCAing, they're getting a good value. So what a better time than now? Speaking of fear, taking a look, the fear and greed index is at 22. So kind of this little range that, been at. So we were, I think we got all the way down to 19 over this FTX thing, but I think people are starting. I
don't think we crossed under 20. Look at that. Last month, 23.
Yeah, but I think there was one day we went down to 19. I forget where the chart is for this thing, but
there it is. Anyways, it hasn't gone under 10, and I don't know if it will go under 10, but we'll see. All right, so I have some on-chain metrics I want to show. Compliments via Glassnode. So this is a chart I made. So Bitcoin miner capitulation, I put in the elevated miner capitulation risk, which is the shaded areas of brown, the Bitcoin difficulty, which is in pink, the Bitcoin total miner revenue, which is in blue, and of course the price of Bitcoin. You can see here, I'm just going to start here where they started diverging. So you see in the pink here, we have the Bitcoin difficulty. That's been continuing to go up. The miner revenue has been continuing to go down, obviously in line with price, and the capitulation risk is at a high. So, you know, a lot of things working against Bitcoin and the miners right now. I mean, for the company that has the most hash rate, right? Core Scientific, for them to only have 30 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, that means they're selling whatever they make every single day. Because last I knew, Core Scientific was mining anywhere between 32 to 36 Bitcoin a day. And they have 32 Bitcoin on their balance sheet when 2 months ago it was over 1,000. And so we know for a fact miners are capitulating. And we also know, if we look at history, we don't see a true bear market bottom until miners have capitulated. But it's so different this time because Robin and I think we're on the same page. This FTX thing is not over, right? We haven't seen the last of these larger companies starting to fall under. Maybe not as large as FTX, but pretty big. I mean, the one next in line is Genesis. Maybe right behind him is Gemini. Not trying to spread fire. I'm just saying. So, I mean, when are we going to see a bottom? When do you think we're going to see a bottom, Robin?
On crypto prices?
Just a bottom in the crypto market.
So, crypto market, crypto prices. I think it's gonna come later than people think.
I agree.
I think that people are expecting things. Okay, here's the thing. The markets never play out exactly like you think they are. Even people that sit here and say like, hey, this 4-year cycle's never been wrong. Well, you know what? Nobody even talked about the 4-year cycle back in 2017. It wasn't really, it was a novel idea. It was loosely thrown around. And it wasn't like everybody was like, yo, this is exactly what's going to happen. This is, because here's the thing. If everybody knows what's going to happen, you're going to position yourself for gains on the way up and to exit on the way down before it happens. And so if I were to say to you, hey, the peak is going to be on November 30th. And you were like, okay, that is the height. That's going to be the all-time high for Bitcoin, November 30th. What are you going to do? You're going to sell what? The 28th?
Right.
And if everybody knows that the 30th of November is going to be the top, then people are going to start selling on the 28th. The next half the other people are going to sell on the 25th. Another bunch of the people are going to see a little dip on the 24th and like, oh, it's coming early. And then they're going to sell then. And so these things never actually play out for that reason, because the masses are going to break the model. And so if everybody thinks that the halving is going to now the funny thing is that things are lining up for the halving, and the fact that we are bottoming out now, I think it's due to probably line up. But in the same way that everybody said Bitcoin was going to go to 100K and that it was going to, top out in January or it was a little off. And you know what? People sold a little early and it came a little earlier. And so I think the same thing will happen here. People are expecting that the bottom is coming in sometime this year, between now and January. And I think it's going to probably happen later. I think that people are going to get excited, start coming back into the market. Something else might pull us down, and then we'll get the real bottom then. And what does that look like? Maybe it's not far off from where we're at. Maybe we go up to 20,000 because people have peace of mind, and then we just dip down to 14, and then that's it. Or maybe we trade sideways at 15 and then bottom down to 9. The thing is nobody really knows.
No one knows, guys. Yeah. It's all just educated guesses and hypotheticals. So
I do want to give a couple of shout outs to the chat while we're here. We got Tech Corp, Xero Veg. We got, are you the God? Are you there, God? It's me, Dave. And then James Johnson. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. We also got Gina back in the house.
It was pretty good. What's up, Gina?
Yeah. improvement.
Very
Robert.
creative with their
Have you been
names
taking speech classes? If Robert should take speech classes, put a 1 in the chat.
You know what? Actually, I do want to get the opinion of the chat though, on this whole Bitcoin thing and the Bitcoin mining. Guys, if you are fearful of what's to come when it comes to Bitcoin mining, let's just say 2 of the major Bitcoin miners were to go under. Do you think that this will just be doom and gloom for Bitcoin for the foreseeable future, and that we'll go into a 6-year bear cycle? Or do you think that perhaps this is fine, even if a big player goes out, somebody will step up and replace them? Put a 2 in the chat. 1, if it's doom and gloom. 2, if we'll be fine if Bitcoin miners go out of business. So,
also, Ilamek said, I'm back. Thanks for the show, guys. Thanks for watching, bro. Or this? You're a lady.
Sis?
Well, can't assume he's a man. Maybe he's a lady. Maybe she's a lady. All right. So we talked about Genesis, right? Maybe the next big domino to fall. Well, we know they've been trying to raise money. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Genesis has been up to. Now, there was rumors circulating that Genesis bankruptcy was imminent. They're saying if we don't raise money by Monday, we are going to go bankrupt. Well, they are denying these rumors that there are plans to file for bankruptcy. So this is from Cointelegraph. Genesis has refuted speculation that it is planning an imminent bankruptcy filing should it fail to cover a $1 billion shortfall caused by the fall of crypto exchange FTX. This is a quote from a spokesperson for Genesis. We have no plans to file bankruptcy imminently. Our goal is to resolve the current situation consensually without the need for any bankruptcy filing. Genesis continues to have the constructive conversation with creditors. And apparently their fundraising is not going too well because Binance reportedly will not invest in crypto lender Genesis. This is from theblock.co. After crypto lending firm Genesis suspended client redemptions and indicated it would seek a $1 billion emergency loan, cash loan, major potential backer Binance said no to the investment. Binance turned down the opportunity to invest in the lending firm owned by DCG over a potential conflict of interest with the Genesis business model. Potential conflict of interest with their business model. Now, what could that possibly mean? What could that possibly mean? Potential conflict of business. We know when CZ and Binance did the due diligence of FTX, it took less than a day. They came back and said, nope, screw this. We're not doing this. No, Genesis is not the Winklevoss twins. So we've already seen just one centralized exchange get affected by Genesis. If they can't raise the money and DCG can't bail them out, I mean, what other options do you guys have? Right? What other options does Genesis
There's no money floating around in crypto environment that can just be loosely thrown into saving somebody that's underwater that might not be able to come out. And the fact that their own parent company, DCG, hasn't bailed them out, it tells you everything you need to know. If DCG, who has more value, and I don't know where they're at now, but they have more assets, they have more money than Binance. If they're not bailing out their own subsidiary, what makes you think Binance is going to come in, right? And so, this whole there's lots of talks of them not filing for bankruptcy. It's like, hey, we're not going to file for bankruptcy. Genesis isn't filing for bankruptcy. How are you supposed to make up a $1 billion gap? And you halted trading on your products. You're not giving any of your users access. Like, that is so damning to your business model that you can't recover from that. Who in their right mind, if they get access to their account to withdraw, is going to actually withdraw? I mean, that's actually going to deposit back in after they withdraw. You know what I mean? They're going to take their funds off and then they ain't coming back. The same way that, like, I know Voyager is not, different, but let's just say if you got your Voyager, your funds off of Voyager, would you ever deposit them back on? And if you're at the dinner table and Gam Gam's like, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about putting some money on Voyager. You're like, no! Like the same thing could be said when it comes to Genesis. So I don't know, man. I'm just really I'm not surprised. So there you go.
I just found it interesting that said conflict of interest, right? Because we know Binance has an earn program. So does that mean that they use Genesis also? Could that be it, Rob? Well, I mean, we're speculating here, right? But what else would be a conflict of interest?
That I don't know.
I mean, something to think about. I
mean, possibly. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're not trying to throw $1 billion for the simple fact that you probably ain't got an extra. You probably don't have $1 billion just loosely laying around. Now, if for example you had the middle of the bull market, that'd be a different story. Bull market, you got a lot of extra capital. You can throw some money around, things like that. So,
also huge shout out to who broke Jimmy, the hype man of Sin City Crypto, for gifting out 10 channel memberships. Guys, if you're wondering how do I get gifted one, you just have to allow them. Once you sign into the chat, it'll ask you to allow memberships, gift their membership. So make sure to have them on if you want to gift their membership. All right. We have our guests ready to join us.
Let's go.
So we're going to bring in Mr. Magic Internet Money. Rocco, go ahead and patch him. Hello, my friend.
He's muted. Oh.
Hey, can you hear us?
Me?
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. How you doing?
Gotcha.
Awesome. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. So how would you like us to refer you? By your government name or Magic Internet Money, MIM, Magic Internet Money? What are you feeling?
Or about the...
I've been called a lot of things in my life. My first name is Kagan, though. If you want to call me by my first name, you can. Whatever's easiest for you.
What do you prefer? Because you're our guest here.
Magic. Magic is fine.
Magic. All right.
There it
done.
is.
Magic. Thank you so much for joining us again. Would you mind maybe telling our viewers what kind of content they can expect from you, whether they're following you on Twitter, on YouTube? I know you're a big TA guy, but outside of that, maybe what can they expect from you? And then maybe talk about your journey into crypto.
Yeah, sure. Content-wise, it varies by platform. If you're on TikTok or YouTube, it's literally just a straight dress down from technical analysis standpoint. You'll get a lot of honesty there. So if I don't like a project, I'll do the TA on it, but doesn't mean I'm going to buy it, and I'll tell you that. But people do ask things, like I recently did KDA, for instance. Twitter, you get charts. You also get a lot of memes and a lot of GIFs. So be prepared for that. I do have a bit of a cringe sense of humor at times. But, in terms of my journey, I got in the cycle before this last one. So about 2016, the coin that brought me in the space of all is XRP. Bought into the hype, bought it at about 3 cents, held it all the way to $3, and then didn't sell until it hit $1.20 on the way down. So that got me into TA, and I was like, all right, I have to learn how to trade. It was about 2018, bear market was there. I wasn't profitable, obviously, for about a year, and then since mid-2019, I haven't had a job. I've been gainfully unemployed and just trading through the bear market into the new bull market and now into this bear market. So it's been fun.
Awesome, man. And Rocco, do you mind pulling up my my laptop? So, guys, we dropped the link to Magic's YouTube channel in the description of this video. But go follow him on Twitter at Magic Internet M1. Not to be confused with M2, which is the money supply of the U.S. that keeps going up. So, Magic, we spent the last 20 minutes today talking about Bitcoin miners. We looked at a couple, we didn't do TA, but we looked at a couple charts of some of these companies like Core Scientific, Marathon, Riot. Are the charts telling you anything as far as, hey, maybe fundamentally or technically as well? Or do you have just general thoughts about this whole Bitcoin mining thing?
I don't put too much. So I'm not a fundamentals guy. So I'm one of those people that when people come to me with fundamentals, I usually tell them that it does not matter. I only trade the charts because fundamentals are represented in the charts. So when I tell someone I like a project, I believe it's because the charts are representing strong fundamentals and represented in price action and through strong buying, right? So in terms of Bitcoin, I think it's kind of unique that there's always a news catalyst that's going to coincide with a drop, right? However, if you were to go back and actually review the chart on Bitcoin, it was really easy to find not only the top, but where you were going this whole journey. And I've been in the camp for months telling people that we're not going to necessarily get a giant capitulation, that actually the worst thing that's going to happen and the most pain that you're going to see isn't a short squeeze to the upside, and it isn't this massive drop. It'll be sideways and down. So you're going to get long drawn out ranges, and then you're going to get these pumps. People are going to get hopeful again. We've spent a lot of time going up, and then it's just going to come right back down, and it's just going to fall through the floor, and you do the whole thing over again. And you can see, if you just look at the chart uniquely, I mean, that's pretty much what you've been doing all of 2022. So if you were looking at it, fundamentally, I'd say it lines up. The interesting part about the timing aspect of things is how long it takes to distribute massive moves like this. That's one thing that I get into through Gann or Fibonacci time. And so what I look for are essentially one-to-ones or ratios of expansion. And that lines up with fundamentals a lot of time in terms of like minings, capitulating, things like that, because it takes the same amount of time to pull a rubber band for the market before it reverts back to the mean. So if you think of it in that term, yeah, I ignore the news, because to me it is just news. How many times during the Fed meetings did price pump even though we got bearish news, or
right.
vice versa? So it is one of those where I'm a firm believer, trade the chart, trade the volume that's coming in, the order flow specifically, and that will kind of, if you're trading, that's the way to do it. If you're investing, it's just much better to have a broader based plan and control your risk, and be comfortable with living with those decisions for a long period of time, because it is going to test you one way or the other.
That is such a good point. Trading and investing are two completely different things. And I think you made a great point. What is the Bitcoin chart telling you right now?
13,800 eventually. But let me see if I can't share my screen here.
Yeah, please.
Everybody's face there.
There we go.
I was up on the SPX charting that, still looking for a little bit of a move up. We'll see if I get what I want. But in terms of this, so this was a really unique range, and I know this is kind of a cluttered chart, so I'm going to get some of the things off of here real quick. This was a really unique drop, in that when you came down here, a lot of people were saying there's not enough sell pressure to continue falling. But I was on Debate Crypto with the guys, you had them on yesterday, and I told them after this drop we would take this low with a little over 80% certainty, because the order flow was telling you that this was a poor low or a weak low. It's something that you can classify by the volume that's come in. So you didn't have a proper low here, and eventually it'll come back to it and it'll take it. Same thing happened at 32K actually. So you actually had another one of these when we had this big drop down right here. So you keep making poor lows from an order flow. The buying tail's not very good. You're not seeing the delta open interest all come in at once and support that for a long period of time, I guess is the way to put it. So in terms of what we're looking at now, that you do have an okay low here. It's just not the strongest still, because the rise up after this low has come in. You're just not seeing the buyers stepping in. So for me, I actually took some shorts today off of the weekly open. I've already closed about 90% of that position. So if I get stopped out, I don't really care, but I'll leave the rest to ride. And then most of my other trades are from like 40 plus. They're all still open in terms of shorts. But if you start giving up 15,450, you can go out to Bitstamp, because we don't have enough data on Bybit. That is where I like to trade. We will go out to the 12-month chart. And, this is a really easy way for your viewers to get a handle on the charts straight away. And get rid of this, whatever that was. So, and we'll get rid of this for just a second. I'll bring that back up. You can see right here, you don't really have any support when you're looking at this in terms of like a yearly chart, right? This is your first area of support. So the reason you choose the candle bodies, and there's actually an indicator on here, I believe I don't use it because it's a little messier, but I think it's untapped key levels, and it's from like 2017. But the reason you use the bodies of candles like this is because that is where you're going to find traders that are both trapped, like to the upside here. All these traders are trapped. You're going to find people wanting to get out at break even, because they're going to have the opportunity when you revisit it, such as this candle right here. And then you're going to want to see people recognizing support. So you're actually going to have like 3 different interactions with that level from an order flow standpoint. You'll have people closing their positions, which is a market sell or buy in the opposite direction depending on the move. Then you have people also defending the level. Like let's say that people here had shorts and they wanted to defend the level again. They're going to defend the level. And then you have people that, see it as resistance are going to hop in as well. So that's why it's important to keep track of these. And you can see this is the nearest one on the high time frames. You can even go down to like a 6-month chart, and a 3-month chart. And you can see that it really doesn't make sense for us to stop where we are right now. Now, the one thing that would invalidate this, and I'll bring this up, this is something I pointed out actually in 2021 in June. So this is going to be the blueprint that I've been running off of, and I'll get rid of a lot of this stuff. Those are the original notes, though, from that post. I've reposted it recently just because sometimes people want to see that you aren't just lying and that you didn't just make this up on the spot. So this is actually considered a harmonic pattern, except it's only in log scale. So if you try to do this in linear, it doesn't actually show up. But what you had was a deep crab. And so what that means is you're looking for a 1618 expansion with a 2.24 expansion right here. So you've got Fibonacci convergence, and 69 to 70K was a pretty key level anyway in terms of fibs, but you came into the level and the specific pattern, and then what you've done is you've now outlined X, B, and D, right, and C here. So the first target of this is obviously going to be here, right around this range low. However, the next target is X, and the reason is that's your structure high. You are now living below it. You can see on a weekly closing basis where you kind of butted up against before making this final move down. Now you're looking into between 20K and 3K, or 19,666 all the way down to 3K. So this is where you can now take all this off, and we can turn back on those fibs we were looking at, and you can say, okay, there's my range high, here's my range low, and this is where we are going. I'll turn it out of log now. You can see that you've hit the first EQ, or the 0.75 in this case, for all intents and purposes, because you're just dividing these up into sub-ranges to say, okay, where's a good place to be getting involved in price? Does it make sense for me to be buying here, or is this, just kind of a place that I should be maybe watching? So you can see that this is sub-range 1, and you could have sub-range 2 down below. So 13,880 will be fairly important, because if lost, it means you're going back to 11,394, and then probably going to make the move down to like 9,200 into that 7,500 potential zone, mainly because these lows right here. So if you're looking at this from a trapped liquidity standpoint, if you start making this move and filling in this inefficiency, which you're currently doing, it's going to take time. But once it's underway, once you get down below this region, these stops are all going to get ran. Believe it or not, they'll still be respected. They will get ran probably close to this area, in my opinion. We don't know anything for certain, but if it follows, the technical analysis rule, that's what I would be expecting. So I'm still short, macro short, and I have been for 6-7 months now, and I won't close it until price does something to change my mind. And in this case, it would be getting back above 19.6 and holding that as support and getting out of this range. But to me, it doesn't make sense to do that. But it doesn't have to make sense. You just have to make a good decision when you get the opportunity to. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Now, Magic, let me ask you a question. And of course, this is personal preference, because some people think, hey, trading 2-3 full days above a price level, hey, that's support. What is it for you? Is it a week? Is it a month? Like you said, 19.6, I'll flip bullish, but how many days? Is it days? Is it weeks? What are you looking for?
So it does need to bleed into the high time frame. So it would start with like a weekly time frame. That would get me fairly excited, at least about a local move. And I brought this idea up a little while back where you had a really big descending triangle back here, and everyone was looking at this fractal way earlier. And I was like, and I think we were talking with Gareth Soloway as when we brought it up. We had this dump right here. You went sideways for about a month here. And so what you could have done was marked off your monthly low. And this is what we're going to do here on the monthly and quarterly level that we have now. And we're going to get into log. It's just easier to see. And we'll get rid of some of this stuff. So what you'll notice is you have your monthly low here. So we're going to do the same thing for both sections. Hopefully you guys can see that line. If it's not bright enough, let's change it to white.
There we go.
That way it's easier to see. So you can see how you've been on a monthly time frame. This has been support, lost. This is now back above, and it's support, and even wick below it, which that was a really nice swing failure pattern. Same thing here. I'd want to see a monthly closure back above about 17.5. But 19.6, if it was a weekly, would get me a little more excited. And then all you did after this was, or I guess it's actually technically right here. I got the wrong one. There we go. You can see how you've come down below it. You deviated it right here, and then you get back above it. That's what we're looking for. Sorry. Switch charts too much. You can see how you came down. It became support. This is your China pump. Gee, I remember trading that, and I took profits at like 8,800, and it just kept ripping. It was an insane day. That's what you'd want to see. You just want to mark off like one key level and make sure that it makes sense. And for us, 17.5 probably makes the most sense on like a monthly time frame. But if it was an impulsive move, 19.6. You start closing weeklies above that, and things do start to look a little different. It'd be your prior all-time high. This starts to look a little more like a fake out, and then you have to ask yourself, what inefficiency are we going to go fill? Because when you made this move, you did just fill an inefficiency. That's all you were doing. Some people may enjoy this, some won't, but TA does work. It's one of those where you go all the way out to the quarter 3, and there we go. And you can see that this is an NPOC left over from quarter 3. So you just track these because these filled at an alarming rate. And you can see this is realistically, this was your resistance up until you broke out, turned it into support, and then off you go, right? So you'd have to ask yourself, where is that coming in right here? I would argue, that starts to peek its head in right around 24K personally, because it's just a monthly level at that point. But that would be my target. If we started reclaiming this on like a weekly, monthly basis, I would look for a full range rotation. I'd look to run these highs and these highs. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to take these and then head up to like 30K. But you could very, very easily get a situation where this becomes everybody's stop losses ran, it makes a new low, keeps resistance, makes more new lows, right? That would be my preferred scenario. And that would take us into probably middle of the year next year in that scenario to make the lows at these levels. And it would get people super excited again. However, if you start reclaiming these and holding, things as support, making higher lows, you have to be looking at it like, okay, maybe this is a macro bottom. So there's, in trading, there's a lot that goes into it. And investing, as we were talking about, it's one of those things where, yeah, you can say, okay, I've allotted some of my long-term capital already to Bitcoin. It's got a little bit of a drawdown right now, but I divide my investment up into 22 because it's my favorite number. I've made 4 allotments sub 19K to Bitcoin, and I'll wait for my next targets to allot any more capital. And as I go down, the position sizes do get larger. So,
okay. I was going to ask you, is there a level where you're just going all in? But I kind of think you answered that question. What?
3,800, 3,869. If you want to know, 3,869. That's where my trade closes if it hits all the targets. So
that would be imagine the chaos if Bitcoin got under sub 4,000. That would be insane. Now, with everything going on with FTX and Alameda, we've seen Solana take a massive drop. What is the Solana chart telling you? Is this a project that maybe the TA is telling you might be a good time, whether it's a swing trade, you're scalping profits, or maybe like a 2-3 month hold? What are the charts saying?
We have some guys in there that were trading it. I actually had a short open on Solana on Bybit because that's where I trade, and they closed down perpetuals on it, so I can't trade that anymore. However, the overall macro target is going to be your global POC at $2.78. So for me, I'm not really interested in price where it is, as this is an old range, high and low right here. I actually marked this out long before. I have not updated this chart, and I know it's really messy up here, but have not updated this chart since Q1 of 2022. So this was always going to be kind of the local target, especially after you broke through this like high volume node from Q3 right here that's marked off. You got to bounce back into your yearly pivot, if I recall, and then down you go. You're back in this range, so I would expect to see 278 over time. So for me, I'm not looking to do any scalp longs on it or hold it. I don't really day trade a ton of alts, and the reason I don't is because I am one of those people that people don't like in the space. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist because I do believe we are potentially in a bubble right now, in the sense that there's 20,000 projects, and obviously that doesn't mean they're all going to zero. Some there are going to be winners, but I do think that even some that you think are winners now are viable projects. You're going to find out that they don't actually have a working project, and that this was all just a really nice idea that was backed by hype. So for me, being extra cautious on altcoins is something that I kind of preach, but there are people in our group that, degen trade all assets. So, but no, I wouldn't touch this one personally.
So earlier we were discussing before we got on the 4-year cycles and how front and center it is now and how everybody's talking about it. And at least with my time in the markets, even outside of crypto, is that when the masses and the public think that that a certain event is going to make the markets move in a certain direction, that the markets will front run it, the smart money will get ahead of it, and it won't play out exactly as you think it will. Do you put anything into the 4-year cycle? Do you think that we're going to go into the halving and just have this similar pump that we've had before, because in the past, in the last bull cycle, the 4-year cycle wasn't as big of a conversation piece back in 2017, 2018. And now it seems to be like everyone's like, well, of course, the 4-year cycle, we've always looked at it. Like, I don't know about that. But what do you take out of that? Do you think that that we're going to kind of follow along with the 4-year cycle? Is that what the charts are kind of telling you? Or do you think might break that trend?
I think that, it's tough to say this time is different. You have to be prepared to be malleable in the sense that I think that those cycles do carry validity. So I do need to be prepared myself to, close the short, close my macro hedge and say, okay, price is now reversed and I need to be with the new trend. I think that we need to be on the watch for that, because nothing goes down forever, just like nothing goes up forever. So I am very interested in the next, probably about quarter's worth of price action, because I do think that there is an opportunity there to get a significant low. So I would never put all my eggs in the basket of we have to make a low in that time frame. But if something tells me to get out of my position, I see a macro change in market structure, I'm definitely going to close it, take those profits, and then play the game the opposite direction. So, it's not a very good answer. I don't get too much into them, but I think that it should. Bitcoin, while I think all assets trade very similarly because they are based on fear and greed, as far as human emotion goes, that's what drives markets. Bitcoin does have a very unique property where there's less and less of it being produced every 4 years. There's this halving event, that supply shock. So I do, I would give that some weight, yes, and I would keep an eye on it, because I remember trading in 2020. And the halving was happening, and Bitcoin was rallying quite hard on that V-shaped recovery up to about 10K. And there were a lot of people that were just like, the halving doesn't matter. This thing's going back to fill the gap at 3K, and it's just like that's not reality, And it turns out the halving was a huge event for it. I mean, it pretty much broke out shortly after that and went on a massive run. So I would give it some definite validity. It's just I wouldn't marry the idea. I think that's where everyone got in trouble, is they married the idea of where Bitcoin had to go. Like, everyone was using past cycles, and I found it really, really interesting when they did. If you went to this, you did have a lot of things to tell you that this was the exact same, right? So if you actually measured it time-wise, and this was one of the only videos I've made recently, was letting people know that this time was not different. It was actually the exact same. You've got an exact 1-to-1 in price here, right? So the problem was everyone struggled to figure out how to find this target, and that's really what it comes down to, is being prepared to make a change in that time frame. And we're in that time frame. We really are. It's just one of those things where we're not quite seeing what we need to in order to, change camps and get on board with, bulls. And so you can see straight away, you've got negative Fibonacci's here, but this is where everybody messed up. Everyone's looking for an exact same move, but in reality, you went straight to the gold pocket on a trend-based pull. So if you put this here and then you go to log, which is how you should view this asset in terms of high time frame, in my opinion, you did come right into the bread basket of it. I mean, this is exactly where you wanted to be at. So you did a 1-to-1 in time, but you only did a 61% in terms of ratio. So in terms of percentages. So you hit multiple targets right on time. That's why when everyone said that the second pump was completely manipulated, I'm like, no, the timing of it, the timing and the respect and the ratios that were given say that this was the target, and it was hit and met. So now we're looking to see if we get that out of the bottom here, which for me, the very first area I'm interested in is 13,880. That could be the bottom. We don't have to go to 10K. I think it's unlikely we don't, just given the current state of the market. But it's like you said, maybe we get closer to the halving and things turn around. But you were talking about Charles Capriel earlier and his indicator. This was one of the, he had me kind of doubting myself a little bit because it fired off a hash ribbons buy signal. And it ended up failing, which is the first time I've ever seen it fail since I've been trading. So that was kind of shocking. So that kind of tells you the state of the market right now.
And, me personally, I'm in the camp that I think we're still early. You take away 2009, 10, 11, possibly 12, and you look at 13 to 22, right? That's only 9 years. So, like, how many 4-year cycles is that? And so I don't know how much emphasis should we put on the 4-year cycle with such a brand new asset class? I think you kind of have to do. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's really tough because it's been a printing environment, a money printing environment, and the stock market's been going up. So it's very tough to kind of separate, like, okay, is this just correlated, or is this thing going to depart from that and do its own thing at some point? I think that's the hope of everyone, is when is Bitcoin going to become independent and be the store of value that we all want it to be? It's why we're all in crypto. I always tell people I don't hate Bitcoin and I don't hate cryptocurrency. I don't love it either because it doesn't love me back. But I'm definitely rooting for the day. I'm rooting for the day that it decouples though and gives us that what we've all got into cryptocurrency for, which is that financial peer-to-peer system, and it becomes its own thing where it's not affected by outside entities too much. So that's really what I would love to see.
We're in a pretty interesting situation when it comes to, on one end, as we were discussing with the Bitcoin cycles, is that all of these have played out during economic prosperity in the traditional markets, where we've had this epic run up in the S&P 500 and in the stock market. And we haven't had a situation where the traditional market goes into a bear market at the same time when crypto is supposed to be rallying. And
here's the thing.
A lot of trends are getting broken. Like, are we going to get to 85% drawdown as well?
What Magic said is right on the money. Is through the entirety of Bitcoin, the money printers have been on. We've been in a dovish, right?
Yep.
And so how is Bitcoin going to react? It's a waiting game. I mean, you can look at charts, you can look at fundamentals, you can have your theories, but at the end of the day, we don't have the data to go back and say, well, it did this last time this happened, because there was no last time it happened.
Mm-hmm. And then with the adoption of Bitcoin being the world reserve currency, or what people are expecting it, just to expand on what you said, I think it really comes down to nation state adoption. I mean, we see El Salvador getting in on buying Bitcoin, but I mean, they're buying 1 Bitcoin a day, and so at this rate, they're gonna. They're not too far ahead of some of the whales out there, just individuals. So I think that when large countries, maybe like India or something, I don't know, just a big name decides to allocate some Bitcoin instead of allocating gold in its treasury assets, I think that's going to kick off the actual use case of what I think it's best suited for is a store of value. I don't think it's best suited for buying coffee. I mean, you can use a Lightning Network. I understand that, but it's a little centralized. It's a centralized chain on top of Bitcoin. So
if Bitcoin's at 100K and moving up, no one's buying anything with Bitcoin.
Yeah,
they're holding it.
Yeah, I just think it's all about.
Do you agree, Magic?
Over here, yes, and I do agree with you guys that nation states will, help expedite that. However, I think the biggest thing is going to be the current central banking system. That system that's in place is not going to let go. All the people that are talking about like this being a huge rally, like stocks are going to go back to all-time highs, everything like that, it's all dependent on our central banking system at the Federal Reserve turning the money printer back on. It really is. And there's actually a lot of theory out there where you could get, left or right translated cycles, if you guys follow Bob Lucas at all. And what he talks about is the idea that we get one more final blow off top even from where we are, which I find probably the least likely of all the theories. But what it does is it implies that the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve are going to get together through economic pressure and recession and turn back the money printer and say, okay, instead of restricting, we need to go back to, adding money back into the economy. And that would actually cause the dollar to probably fall pretty drastically. And that would shoot risk on assets up. I don't think they will. I'll be honest with you. They're pretty.
You don't think they will turn the money printers back on?
Not for a while. He's been quoting Volkner quite a bit from the 80s. They're laying it down. And if you pay attention to what the Fed board members say individually, they've actually been telling us what they're going to do. They were open about how they thought they waited way too long to raise rates and that they need to up the pace in the beginning and front load all of the rates in 2022 and 2023. They said that by first quarter of 2023, they want to be at their federal funds restrictive rate, meaning if their goal is 5% or 5.25 and we're currently sitting at 4, we've got 2 rate hikes between now and February, basically. You're going to get one in December, probably going to be 50 basis points. If it's 75, I think that would be a disaster. And I think that they'll raise again, maybe by another 50 points going into the Q1 of next year. And then you might see a couple 25s, but they're probably, if they stick to what they've been saying in the outline of the dots they've been giving us, they're not going to start printing money again or even roll rates back at all till 2024. That would be,
here's
I think
my
that puts
take.
the economy into a recession.
Here's my take. And do you mind switching back to your your camera? Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
definitely.
so much. So here's my take is you mentioned Paul Volcker. There is absolutely zero chance of them going up to double-digit interest rate. Zero chance. The entire country, the entire world will collapse. But here's the thing. With the liquidity crunch in the treasuries markets, right? And the Fed coming out and saying, if they need the liquidity, we will provide it, AKA we will print money and buy it. That's a possibility, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, anything is possible.
So here's a couple of things. When you look at when inflation has run rampant and has gone out of control, just going back in history, it's always went up, peaked, pulled back, and then broke even higher than before. And so if we have more inflation to come, if we're just going to have a little psych out here on the inflation is cured, and lo and behold, 2-3 months from now, we're up in some new 9% again. I mean, the interest, they're not going to stop raising interest rates. And I know everybody says they're not going to raise over 10%, man, but I'm telling you,
Robin, there is no way.
I'm just saying that if
the country will go bankrupt.
If the inflation keeps running at over 8%, they're not going to slow down. They might slow down, but they're not going to stop.
Bro, they literally cannot. They cannot go.
I don't know. I think it's surprising.
It's not an I don't know. It's a factual statement. They literally cannot. The country will go bankrupt. The country would literally go bankrupt. There's zero way. I don't even think they can go past 6%, to be completely honest with you. I mean, the entire economy would
pretty
collapse.
quick to get to where we're at, and I understand that
because that's their fault.
Economists say we can't get there. I'm just saying that the Fed is dead set on lowering this interest rate, and each meeting that they have, if it's not trending in the right direction, they're gonna keep adjusting rates up. And at some point, you're gonna keep creeping up further and further up. And if you just look at history, you always rebound and get high and get big inflation numbers again. We've seen it in the 70s. We saw it whenever the one was before that. And I'm just saying, man, if history repeats itself, which it probably will, we're probably gonna print a big inflation number, and they're gonna keep raising interest rates.
So I agree with you. I do think the terminal rate is going to be between 5 and 7%, 7% being pretty far out there personally. But you are correct. They've been very, very, very vocal about how inflation is their number one priority, because you can't really do anything with the economy health-wise if you have inflation that's out of control, right? It's a problem. So I think that they want to find that restrictive rate, and then they're going to keep it there longer than people think. And the issue with that is after the rates are done, all the hikes are done, you haven't seen the bottom of the market yet. Traditionally, you'll see lower prices still, even after the rate hikes are done. That is when you get that final leg down. So this could be, if they do run rate hikes into like Q1, Q2 of 2023, and they hit 5.5%, 6%, they're going to hold it there for the better part of either the rest of the year or even into the next year. And they're going to keep that restrictive rate. That's what they've been saying anyway. For whatever that's worth, that's what they've been saying. We have to kind of take their word for what it is. But if they do that, it doesn't help the market by any means. Risk on assets, and the question is, what is going to happen with Bitcoin? Is it going to stay coupled to that?
I definitely agree that they will keep that terminal rate like higher for longer, but going over 7%, in my opinion, is completely out of the question.
Well. And then at the same time, what does our economy look like if we just stay for the next 5-10 years at between 2 and 5% interest rate? Because I mean, generally they do want to keep the federal funds interest rate above zero.
You're going to see a ton of credit card defaults. You're going to see a crap load of consumer debt default. We're at over 125% consumer debt to GDP ratio, which. And this is why I'm saying it's not possible. Back in the 80s with Volcker, it was under 80%. So if you literally keep doing this, because think about it, Mortgage rates go up, credit card rates go up, borrowing goes up, lending goes up, everything goes up, and the entire economy crashes. And people say, screw this, I'm not paying my credit cards because you're destroying me with 30% interest. And so that's going to crash the I mean, it's something I don't even want to think about, to be completely honest with you.
So you don't think that we'll sit between 2 and 5%?
No, I think we can. I'm just saying, I'm making the argument for we're not going past 7%.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's highly unlikely. I'm just throwing out a scenario that if interest rates don't go down or inflation.
Nothing's impossible, but I don't see it happening. It's just one of the, not right now at this current juncture. It's kind of like saying 3K Bitcoin. I don't see it happening yet, but there are steps to get there. And if, like, let's say we get to 5.5%, 6% and inflation's still higher than it needs to be, they're going to keep raising rates. You know, that's how they look at it. And if the economy, as far as like the SPY, SPX, it's pumping right now because people are still putting money into it. That is not a good sign for the Fed to want to like back off. 100%. If they see people still doing stuff like that, they're going to be like, oh man, the economy's fine. Because even though that's not a judge of the economy, you know, it's jobs and stuff. They're going to look at that and go, well, we can raise more. And they're just going to do it until they break something. And they said, what happens if we do? They said, we have the tools to fix it. That was their response in the meeting when they asked him. They said, well, what if you overdo it and you break the economy? He goes, well, we have the tools to fix that. And we think that is a better scenario than letting inflation go and keeping rates artificially low. And it's like, so you can see what they're trying to do, basically. You know, I mean, it is what it is.
And I think what's helping in their case is what you mentioned. The stock market keeps going up. They're probably sitting there like, what are you guys doing? You should be taking money out of the stock market, but you keep pumping money into it. And on the second end, unemployment numbers are still good. And so they're looking at it like, well,
it's
people
like
can still get jobs.
It's like the carpenter, cutting that tree branch from his backyard with the giant branch sitting over his house, and his wife's all like, "It's gonna crash in the house. He's like, I can fix it if it crashes. I got this, but we got to get rid of the tree branch."
That's a good analogy. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Magic, we're gonna let you go, my friend. We know you're busy. We just wanted to thank you so much again. We loved your TA, and we would love to bring you back on the channel again. I know the chat was on fire. They loved your stuff. And so we just want to give it to you. Any last parting words, anything you got going on in your space, or anything you just want to talk about?
And are you a man of basketball? Are you a fan of basketball?
I'm a KU fan. I am, a huge basketball fan. So
okay.
Yeah, you got an NBA want one of these? We'll mail you one. You want a 5K subs?
I will literally put it right here. I'll replace my Bitcoin sign that no longer works behind me. And you'll see it.
We're mailing you one.
I mean, as far as what I got going on, I do. I go live every morning on another channel, Leading Crypto. That's the plug with CVO Crypto, and our order flow guy Max. We try to bring a very technical breakdown. So even more so than today, we get into like exo charts, ATAS, order flow, open interest, delta. What are these tools? How do you use them? So if you're interested in that, it's totally free to the public every morning, 9 a.m. Central Time on Leading Crypto. My YouTube channel will be more like static videos. And then in our group, we do have a trading group, and we do live trading throughout the week. So that's something that's unique to us. A lot of people just give you like charts and videos. We like to go live and be like, okay, I'm taking this trade right now. This is the trade that I'm in. Here's my stop loss. Here's where I'm going to take profits. That way people can learn, because trading is hard, very, very hard. So with that said, my parting words are, guys, is if you're going to endeavor in trading or investing, you have to have a plan. I always tell people, if you can't take 15 to 20 minutes and sit down with yourself and write down your plan and how you're going to achieve it, even if you fail the first time, at least you've got something to work off of and do better the next time, then you probably shouldn't be participating too much. You might want to just DCA and, live with that plan there. But even then, I would say a lot of people are still putting a lot of their money into this market. So be careful. Make sure that you're sitting down with yourself, you're comfortable with what you're doing, and it's a fun ride. I believe in crypto, even though I'm just a trader. I still believe in it, so I'm rooting for it long term.
Awesome, man. And one last question before we let you go. Everyone knows what's coming. Robin knows what's coming. What are your thoughts on barbecue chicken pizza?
You got the jalapeno on it. It's got jalapenos and cheddar cheese. Cheddar cheese. You can't do mozzarella. You got to go cheddar.
I'll take it.
That's a yes. It's not a pizza.
It is like a pizza.
A weird flatbread.
It's not a flatbread. It's a pizza, you idiot. Magic, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. Guys, go check out Magic Internet Money on Twitter. Rocco, pull this up before he goes so people know where to find him. So his Twitter handle is @MagicInternetM1. Go follow him. Also, The link to his YouTube channel is in the description of this video. Thank you so much again, my friend, and we look forward to bringing you back on again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course,
Appreciate it.
take care,
brother.
That was good.
Dude,
We got some talented TA people in our
This
space.
TA is
man.
good, man.
His TA is really good. Just like overall, the people we brought in TA, they all bring something different, and then that's why we like to bring new people on. So, I also huge shout out to HP. He's the one that kind of linked us together on Twitter. So, HP, thank you, my friend. We appreciate all the help he brought us for us. He's bringing us Magic and Money. That was really good. So, thank you so much, guys. Let me check some real quick, guys. We are done today.
Let's say thank you to Jimmy. Drop
Oh yeah,
another.
Jimmy dropped a total of 20 memberships today.
Jimmy,
So he had, 10 piece
20
followed by a
membership
10 piece. So mucha love. And guys, go check out our merch store. Grab one of these basketballs. We're gonna mail one to Magic Internet Money. And then I'm gonna just shoot this at.
And then I'm gonna straight dunk on this fool right now, bro. If you want to see a video of me dunking on Robin, put a 1 in the chat. In the meantime, Rocco,
Tornado.
friends, family, friends of family, and family friends, we thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday, 2 days before Thanksgiving, for our live show. Make sure to come check us out tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. On behalf of myself, Robin, the Don. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Hey, who's gonna be the first one to
Kenny,
buy?
you shut your dirty mouth before I kick your ass out of this community.
Who's gonna be the first one to buy a Christmas sweater and tweet a picture of it?
Dude, that Christmas sweater, guys. Hold on, Rocco. Keep the stream up for a second. Let me pull this sucker up. This thing is super duper dope.
Got it ready?
Yeah, it's ready. This thing, guys.
Who's gonna be the first in the chat?
Ugly Christmas sweater. You know you're going to be invited to a Christmas ugly sweater party. Coppa Sin City 1. Tweet at us and we will retweet it.
Rocco, you should have put a QR code so if they would have went to the party. Somebody could have scanned them.
They want to be anonymous after the pandemic.
Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Last show of the week. Make sure you come by. Oh, guys, tomorrow we have a fire guest tomorrow, guys. OMG, I'm talking.
I hope she doesn't cancel.
I'll leave it at that. You do not, especially
She
if
ain't
you're an
gonna cancel.
XRP
She ain't
fan,
gonna be here.
you do not want to miss tomorrow's show. We'll see you then. Peace.